Bum bum ba bum bum ba bum ba bum ba bum.
That's so depressing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thursday, April 12th, 2018, the second to last episode of the Scandalous Scandal Recap. I am your host, Larry Brown Jr., joined by my fantastic host, the Janiyah Wright. Janiyah, good evening. How are you?
LBJ, I hate you for this somber tone that you have just
I
given
am
us.
so sad! We have one more episode left. I don't like goodbyes. This thing is winding down. I cannot take it. I feel like I'm talking like Nia Long and The Best Man when she was like, my hormones are raging. I'm horny. I want to scream. Like, I feel like I'm screaming like that.
You are screaming like that. You are.
Y'all.
LBJ, it's
this
happening.
Is almost it. I can't. I don't know what to like. Janiyah, welcome. Like, people are in the chat. Thank y'all so much. I did not know I would react like this. I didn't. I had to pull out the grape soda. Okay, I had to pull out the grape soda and go get a can of grape soda.
I need to tell everyone what you're witnessing. What they're witnessing. Everyone, you are witnessing one of the very rare moments when Larry Brown Jr. is not upbeat and optimistic. It doesn't happen often.
It's rare.
It doesn't happen often, folks. It's happening right now. And it is because tonight was the next to last episode of Scandal. And LBJ, the chat is feeling exactly like you. Kevin Wright started out with, oh, child. Okay, Inkwell is saying this episode right here, I'm speechless. Okay, Miss L, good evening. I'm so shook. All John Thomas could say, LBJ, was my. Everyone's going crazy, LBJ. Diane Jones is here. Patricia Witherspoon. Oh, my gosh. And Richardson, Mrs. Creole Davis says, I'm over the cliff. Listen, we all are. Lacey Rideout's here. PG. Oh, LBJ, now I'm getting sad.
No, I'm sitting over here like my eyes are having allergies. I don't even have allergies like that, but I'm feeling the feelings because like we have people in the chat right now who only chat when we were not live on the air. We have people communicating right now like, I'm that guy who can't do goodbyes. Like,
oh my gosh.
So like next week, I'm gonna be I can't do next week. Like,
oh my gosh.
Like
LBJ, Matrix.
It's about to be Weekend with Bernie next week. Call it Weekend with LBJ. I'm about to be up here like this. Like it's gonna be a dummy of me up here because I can't do next week. I can't. Like my eyes got you see that? I got the redness in the eyes. I got the it's happening. Like this is the end of Scandal, y'all. Like this is the end of our relationship coming up. Like we're not breaking up, but we gotta call it quits. Like this is crazy.
LBJ.
Okay, let's do take two. Wait, let's finish. Okay, wait. Let me start over. Get myself together. And 3, 2, 1. Lovers of Liberty. It's Thursday, April 12th, 2018. This is the second to last episode of the Scandalous Scandal Recap. I'm your host, Larry Brown Jr., joined by my fantastic friend, the Janiyah Wright. Lovers of Liberty.
Everybody.
Lovers of Liberty, we bid you hello. We bid you salutations and innumerable blessings to you and your household. May peace be within thy walls and thy palaces. We are upon the very last episode of Scandal, and tonight, the entire show took a turn for the best or the worst. Will you stand in the light? Which was tonight's title of the episode. Ooh. I'm talking as if I'm Sally Langston. I haven't talked like Sally Langston in a while. Many of you have asked me to say, Lovers of Liberty. So I lean in on your behalf and say, Lovers of Liberty.
Oh.
We thank you for joining us. So to Kevin Wright, Inkwell, Patricia Witherspoon, Diane Jones, Ms. L, John Thomas, Mrs. Creole Davis, Ann Richardson, Lacey Rideout, PG, Grace, Charlene McKinney, Idon Matrix. We also have in the room Janiyah, Charlene McKinney, Kevin Wright. I said that, Char 90303. We also have here you. We have me, Akosua O. We have my mother, Tall Delta. We have Candace, who's watching. Normina's Harmony is here. We also have a bunch of Patricia Witherspoon, Diane Jones, Tashelle, Deborah Battle, all of y'all are here. Bert from the Grape Soda, sorry. Mimi from Miami, y'all are all here, and we are so glad that you all have joined us for this, our second to last episode of the Scandal Recap. I got myself together. I have to be a professional for everyone here. Yes, sending love from DC. Lacey right out saying to you. Deborah Battle, shout out as well. Someone else said something else in the chat. We see you. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, folks, tonight was a ride. Did we not experience an episode upon an episode by the 27-minute mark in the episode? Like, did you understand that we had covered so much ground in tonight's episode? Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Oh, Akosua O said, Larry, is it me or I heard LBJ at the beginning of the episode? Did you hear them? They said LBJ? Did they say LBJ? If they did, my life is made. Oh my gosh. I'm screaming. Grayson's probably asleep. Candace is really upset that I'm in the basement yelling right now in front of a blank wall. Dan Blakemore is here. What's up, Dan? I see you. John Thomas said, yeah, several times. I missed the LBJ. I gotta hear the LBJ. Like, I gotta go back. How did I miss D Ramsey? I see you. Hey D. I missed the LBJ. I gotta go back and watch. They said LBJ. If they said LBJ, that's our shout out. That's our shout out.
I agree with you.
I need to I need a nurse. I need somebody to come down and help me. I can't.
I'm pretty sure Shonda has been sending us messages for years. So this is, to me, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that she sent us a little nugget tonight, LBJ, because it is obvious that they are watching our chat.
They are.
It's very clear. Even the events of tonight. But LBJ, I am so happy that everyone has turned. I'm getting emotional now. Everyone has turned out.
Don't do it tonight.
For tonight's episode.
Keep it together. Keep it together.
Because LBJ, just a few episodes ago, I would say 2 to 3, we couldn't even start to understand. We couldn't even really fully guess about how the show would wrap up, right? I mean, they weren't narrowing the universe of possibilities at all. And in fact, the show was introducing new scandals. You know, Cyrus trying to take over. I mean, LBJ, you know, Jake going haywire, okay? Finally rebelling against the machine. LBJ, we didn't know where to go. But tonight somehow in one 60-minute episode, LBJ.
Don't do it. No, I see you doing it.
They have started to tie up the loose ends.
Yeah.
So LBJ, we gotta jump in. There's so much to cover. LBJ, there's so much to cover.
Crying. Oh man, let me tell you.
And everybody, you better get your predictions ready, because when we close out tonight, we need to be able to come into the chat and say, everybody, what's the prediction for the last episode? So chat, that's what we got to do tonight.
Realize and understand, though. Do you understand the magnitude of this? I talked to Candace about this before I came downstairs. This is our last chance to predict the episode.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this is the last. Like, this is the first of the last. This is the beginning of the end. I'm laying it on thick. Let's just jump into the episode. We can jump around. Let's talk about this whole thing. We can do this in under an hour, I promise you, because there was so much that was covered, but there was also so much that was brought to light. And I loved how they brought back to the story the character Sally Langston, because Sally Langston with the Liberty Report always delivers with her inside the Beltway commentary of all that's going on in Washington. And we open with lovers of liberty. You haven't seen me in a while, but I'm here because you've asked for me. And so in the chat, please tell me where, because I've got to go back and rewatch all this LBJ chat stuff in the thing. Confirm it before I get too much in my feelings, okay? While we're talking about that, Sally Langston essentially narrated this episode. She helped us slow down, speed up. She was the gas pedal and the brake in this episode, right? She was the right foot and the left foot, if you will, for this episode. Sally Langston essentially accelerated us from the beginning. So we leave off last week with us trying to figure out what's now going to happen with the breakdown in the entire Air Force Two hijacking. We know that Mellie Grant was essentially named as the key suspect in the investigation. However, we saw in the tease that Olivia could potentially be named as the suspect, and so we've got to figure out how do we tie this together.
Right.
And you all in the chat, keep talking, keep chatting. Listen, if you have a camera on your computer or your phone, I am going to send you an invitation. You can choose to accept or deny it, but you will have a chance to converse with us because this is our second to last chance to converse. So you will get a chance to come in and out of the conversation at different moments. When you're invited, take it. You'll ride out. And if you come in live, if we bring you in, be ready. Janiyah, take it away.
LBJ, you know, right before Sally Langston came in, and by the way, again, this is the show. Listening to us, LBJ, being responsive to the needs of the Scandalous Scandal recap. You know, Mrs. Creole Davis said it in the chat. Sally Langston is back. They heard our cry. That was us saying we wanted Sally Langston back, okay? But LBJ, right before Sally, there was a little something else that happened at the top of the episode, and it was a little something called nectar, okay? It was Fitz and Olivia. LBJ. This is how the episode started. The episode started with a little something I'll call deja vu, okay? Because we've seen it before. We have seen Fitz and Olivia in post-coital bliss, okay? They're just traipsing around, you know, Fitz's bedroom, having a nice old time, you know, really just truly chatting it up as if they just picked up where they left off so many times before. And what are they talking about there, LBJ? They're talking about Fitz's presidential photo and presidential picture to go in the White House. And he is, of course, he's worried about it. He's anxious about it. LBJ, I think that's when the LBJ reference came up because he was talking about other presidential photos. And,
you're right. Yes.
But one of the most important pieces of that scene, other than Shonda sending us a message to let us know that she's listening, that she's watching our recap. The other thing that happened was Fitz raised an important question. He said, you know what, to Olivia, he says, you know what, I'm just wondering how will all of this end? You know, I'm right here now completely anxious about the legacy of Mellie's presidency because it is directly tied with mine. How will this story end? And it was just left as an open-ended question. And then, of course, as we know later in the episode, he presumes an answer to the question. We'll get there. But after that, LBJ, you know, Olivia leaves. She's got work to do. She says, you know what, I've got to go. I've got to go prep Mellie. She has her big hearing tomorrow. And so then we find our way, LBJ, to the Liberty Report. And Sally Langston, OMG, is she back? LBJ. Lacey Rideout says, I love Sally's character, but she has blood on her own hands. It's too true. Okay. So Sally Langston is back and she is too happy. And I mean elated, LBJ, to start to talk about Mellie Grant. And she gives a big old couple of headlines about Mellie Grant now being up for questioning about the attempted assassination of Cyrus Bean. LBJ, you know, what are your thoughts? I mean, Sally Langston was loving it. She was loving it, LBJ.
Sally Langston was here for everything that we needed her to be here for. I've already established what she did, how she did it, and she accomplished everything that she set out to do this entire episode. Will we see her next episode? I think we will, because she essentially is the muse. If you understand the breakdown of musicals, of storytelling, of Greek mythology, there's always this character that comes in. Like, think of Hercules, the Disney version. You had the muse. We are the muses, goddesses of storytelling. And that's essentially who Sally Langston is this episode. Will we see her in the last episode? I think that we will, because she's got to pick us up and lay us down at the very end before it goes over a cliff. Side note, we had these mentions tonight in the episode. Wait, I'll say that. Remember I said over a cliff, right? So Let's go back. We talk about, we learn all that's going down in this episode. Mm-hmm. Olivia essentially in this episode is like, you know what? Let me have a flashback. Let me take this moment to reflect. As she's, if you listen to gospel music, she said, gospel music. She said, as I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say that I've been blessed. I've got a testimony. Olivia said, let me look back over my life and think things over. She thought things over and she said, my daddy said this, my daddy said that, my daddy said this, my daddy said that. He said, stand in the light. He said, tell the truth. He said, drag the truth into the light. Drag everything, a part of the truth with you into light. Expose it all and make it all known to the people. And that's what her quest was. If you think about the story of Don Quixote, Man of La Mancha, he set out to dream the impossible dream. Olivia set out to do the impossible. She set out to bring out everything a part of the truth. What is the truth? The truth essentially is that there is an operation running the scandal version of the United States of America, and it's a covert operation of the CIA that the people do not know about, but it's funded
bigger than the CIA.
Pardon?
Bigger than the CIA.
Bigger, yes, bigger than the CIA. Funded with federal dollars that we have no clue about. You can't apply for this over usajobs.gov. No. You can't be a contractor for this. No. Like the Church of God in Christ for you church people, you can't be born in, you have to be selected into this thing. Okay? and the B613 becomes exposed to the people because Olivia, in her deposition, says to the attorney, sir, there has been an operation over this country that you have no clue about, and I'm going to expose it. It's called B613. If you don't believe me, exit this room, go down the hallway, make 3 rights and 1 left. You will see Jake Ballard standing outside of a room with a plastic bag over a doorway, and that will be the control room of B613. We call that room the command room. Command, I once was command, he's now command. You don't believe me? Go in there and find out. Said attorney man walks in, he sees Jake, he's like, oh, this is command, B613 exists. He goes in. What happens? I'm gonna break this whole thing down. I'm gonna expose it to the people. He goes to expose it, he goes right back. What happened? The whole pool room, the whole swimming pool is completely emptied as if it was just drained 5 minutes ago. Janiyah, when you saw that happen, what went through your head?
Well, I'll tell you, I wasn't surprised at all. You know, I gotta say, I that was one piece of the episode I think we all were able to predict. We knew that command center was going to be shut down within 3 to 7 minutes. Frankly, I was surprised when the special prosecutor got down there and it was still there. I thought it would be immediately gone. I mean, because LBJ, they've done it before. They've relocated. They're on other occasions throughout the course of this show that, you know, and again, one of the great things about Scandal, one of the things we love, and we've loved it for the last 7 seasons, is that when things happen in the episode, you're then able to look back and see signs that, you know, of foretelling. You know, you see that you knew it was coming. You know, all throughout the beginning of the episode, before Olivia was there in her deposition, the thing that she kept saying as she was coaching Mellie through her deposition, or to prepare for her deposition, was use the truth. The truth is your weapon. And so Olivia had already concluded that her MO was going to be just to tell the truth. She was telling Mellie just to tell the truth. That's all we can do. And no one thought that she meant the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. But LBJ, she did. You know, and so it was not a scene that was surprising LBJ, but did it really change the course of how this show was going to wrap and clarify how the show was going to wrap? Oh my gosh. I mean, it was just to me, Shonda Rhimes. I mean, she's just such a genius, LBJ. Before Olivia's deposition, Mellie had been in a deposition with the special prosecutor. And the special prosecutor trying to hem her up, you know, haven't you been in cahoots, you know, with Olivia? Haven't you been in cahoots with all manner of criminal behaviors? And Mellie ends up pleading the fifth, LBJ, which is the one thing Olivia advised her not to do. So during Olivia's deposition, you know, as we knew, she was walking in with them having some real evidence of her and Mellie having been in cahoots on some evil matters, okay? we were worried that she was going to end up having to plead the fifth, but she didn't. LBJ, she did exactly what she said she was going to do. She told the truth. And LBJ, was I the only one that went back to that episode of you know what I'm going to say, of the Cosby Show, when he had when Malcolm Jamal Warner had stolen, he had a stolen bracelet or something he had given to his girlfriend, and then somebody was trying to take the bracelet from her or something, and they were telling her it was stolen, and she was so indignant. She said, "My man would never give me a stolen bracelet." And then they were trying to take her away, and she said, "If truth will be my companion,
and the what?
Flames,
and the flames.
So be it.
So be it."
LBJ, that's what Olivia was saying tonight. LBJ, truth was all she had. Truth was all she had. And LBJ, I want to hear your thoughts about the way the teams were coming together tonight. So as Mellie was preparing, as Olivia was preparing for the depositions, as Olivia was getting to this conclusion that the truth would be her only resource, there were different gatherings, LBJ. I mean, QPA was getting together. You know, Marcus and Fitz were getting together. Olivia and Fitz getting together. LBJ, what's your thought on all of these reunions and all of these groupings and all of these, you know, they're having all of these OPA-like brainstorming sessions
it was
all over the place.
Listen, so not only did we see reunions tonight in the show, and I feel like clapping like my cousins on the hood of the east side of Detroit on every word, because it's so good. Like, we had all these reunions in the physical on the show tonight, but we also saw these reunions, and those physical reunions were needed because essentially it was a homecoming of sorts. You saw these coming togethers of these people, and I said togethers, yes. You saw these coming togethers of people who were casted, who are characters on the show.
LBJ, D. Ramsey said, "All righty, the gathering of these villains." Right,
right,
yeah.
and so that's what it really is. So essentially, they're all classified as villains because there was a speech in tonight's episode where they said that we thought that we were doing something good, we thought that we were exposing something, we thought we were doing something new and innovative. But essentially, when it comes down to it, the common denominator is a word that starts with the letter V. That word that starts with the letter V is villains. We all are villains, and here's our chance to take our name off of the villain column and put our name on the hero column. And Olivia, as the leader, being the leader that she is, she stood in that light, tonight's episode's title, and she said, "Let's be heroes." Now, what prompted her to do that essentially was not just conversations from folks and her feelings, but it's what Janiyah talked about. It was Mellie's decision to plead the fifth. It was Jake presenting her with a vial of sand and said, "You know what this is? You know what I want to do with this?" He presented her a vial of sand from when they stood in the sand, when she went away and she was off the grid and we didn't know what was going on prior to her being kidnapped onto this sound stage where it really wasn't her on an island, but she thought she was, and they thought they had her drugged or whatever, thought that she was like lost. And we were like, what the heck kind of episode is this? But she's like in like Labyrinth or whatever. But then on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, you know I can't do montages. I told you in the 2 episodes ago of the Scandal recap, I said, listen, they better not hit me with a montage so I'm going to start feeling the feelings. And what did they do?
They did it.
They hit me tonight with a montage.
Big time.
So much so that we saw, who's my guy from season 1 who made an appearance back in season, I think, 5 of Scandal, when we saw Olivia be rescued. What's my boy's name? Find it out, gladiators in the chat. Tell us live. What's his name? The former gladiator who once worked for OPA. He now is in the UK. Name the man's name. You know who he is. He showed up by aircraft. We also got a chance to see Columbus Short's character. His name was what? Harrison. Did you see the glimpse of Harrison in tonight's episode? When I saw the brother Harrison, that made me feel all the kind of feels, because we started scene 1, episode 1, season 1 with Harrison and Huck talking to Quinn, Robin, Lindsay in the bar.
Yes.
You know how I feel about that, because that was the onside. Thank you, Dan Blakemore. He is first. Oh, no. It's not Dan. The first is D. Ramsey, then Neekness. Neekness, what's up? Welcome to the chat live. Hey, we also have Mrs. Cleo Davis, Tashelle, Dan Blakemore. Yes, his name is Steven. We saw Steven. We saw Harrison. We also got a chance to go back to episodes that we remember. Olivia being kidnapped. Olivia with the charcoal smudge over her face. We saw the lawn chair. Then we saw Courtney B. Vance's character sitting in the lawn chair. The episode that first made me cry in this entire series. It was a montage that I could not.
Accompanied by Stevie Wonder, as Grace is pointing out in the chat.
Thank you. So yes, there was a Scandal Jam session that accompanied the entire thing, and I was not ready. And who does the team use in Shondaland to do Scandal Jam sessions? Who do we use? Nina Simone, Aretha Franklin, and Stevie Wonder.
That's right. Sometimes they'll throw in a few others. Those are the core, LBJ. That's the Scandal Jam session crew.
Yep.
And LBJ, you know what?
Doom.
Yes.
Hello, I'm being checked by one of our gladiators and one of our friends in the live chat. It was not Huck who was not in the first scene with Harrison and Quinn, Rob, and Lindsay, says Normina's Harmony. Fact checker Franny says Huck wasn't in the first scene. Thank you, Normina's Harmony, for your fact check tonight. And this our second to last episode.
Stop saying it, LBJ. Stop saying it.
We have to accept the reality of it all. If Olivia's going to go over a cliff,
for the truth.
For the truth.
That's
we
right.
have to do this, okay? I'm going to pour a little grape soda out for Olivia if she goes over a cliff.
And LBJ, you know who wanted to throw someone over a cliff tonight? It was Lonnie, the special prosecutor. So as things were playing out, as his plan, him and Cyrus's plan, as their plan is to really rearing up, they're taking out Mellie, they're about to take down Olivia. Lonnie has a huddle with Cyrus. And that huddle, that's a little corporate jargon for you there. That's a brief meeting that's unscheduled. Okay?
Come on, C-suite. FYI, Janiyah is a C-suite professional. So shout out to Janiyah being a C-suite professional.
Hashtag jargon, loves it.
Yes.
LBJ. We see Lonnie in a huddle with Cyrus, and he says, you know what? Listen, I realize here that I'm in cahoots with, I'm paraphrasing, I'm in cahoots with you to in a conspiracy to overthrow the government. I get it. To overthrow the president, I get it. I get that what I've done already, treason, clearly. He said, but why is Jake Ballard on our team? Why is Jake Ballard here? The special prosecutor had been looking into Jake. And he said, listen, the guy he's nowhere on the grid other than his stint in the Navy. He's good looking, but he ain't that good looking to rise so far, so fast. And so even as Olivia was getting to the conclusion that the truth would be her companion through the flames, you know, Lonnie Minkin, who, just like all the other villains in the show, is really just doing what he's doing because he thinks it's the best thing for the public. He's also questioning Jake Ballard. So he was already putting together that there was something really strange about Jake Ballard's presence in the White House and the way that he was interacting with you know, the last president, this president. Minkin's like, who is this guy? Now, LBJ, you talked about it a little bit. I wanted to go back to this scene. And now you guys have to remember the last episode. We have been last two maybe, but last episode it really, you know, it reached a boiling point. We have been watching Jake kind of get over being the right-hand man. You know, even though Jake has been command before, he was never command in the way that he was not there at someone else's bidding. And so this time, LBJ,
I feel like I need to warm up. Because you're sending me cues and clues.
Yeah. Oh, it's coming. It's coming, LBJ. I hope you took a couple notes because you know that
I did
LBJ.
Not, I'm all the feels right now.
Well, you paraphrase LBJ because I'm going to tell you right now, the chat will be very disappointed. Okay, they don't even have to tell me because I already know they will be very disappointed, LBJ, if you don't do what we need you to do. So we see Jake, you know, really becoming tired of being second fiddle. And he was so tired of it last episode, in fact, that when his wife called him a second fiddle, and I think she used some other language that was a bit more harsh.
Yes.
LBJ, you know what he did? He took her out. She got that day, LBJ, because she picked the wrong day to remind him that he had been playing the second fiddle. So this episode, LBJ, in addition to everything else that's happening, we are watching Jake evolve into complete and total and utter darkness. He is wanting right now to have more power than he's ever had. And so when do we see him relinquishing any shard of the old, side chick Jake? Well, he goes to Olivia basically to bury that guy. He goes to Olivia and he reminds her, LBJ, that there was a moment for him in his entire life where he was actually happy. He's never been happy except for one moment, and it was the time he shared with her when the two of them had gone away, LBJ, and they were. So this is when they are reminiscing about the past. That's almost as bad as a montage. You might as well play Stevie Wonder, because now everybody's reminiscing about the past. LBJ, he's talking with Olivia about their days in the sun, and the time that they spent when they were truly one-on-one, and actually at a point where he was willing to run away with her, to run away from DC, to run away from America, to run away from his life as a B613, and to truly find redemption and be people of substance. And she it didn't happen because of Olivia. It had nothing to do with Jake. Jake was ready to go. He gave her multiple opportunities. And so tonight, LBJ, he came to her and he symbolically let it go. He gave her a little capsule, what is that little thing called? Like a little, they use it in science experiments. It's like a little,
a test tube, a beaker.
A little test tube, LBJ, little tube of sand. He hands it to her, forces it into her hand, LBJ.
Communications majors, not STEM majors.
Right. We have a lot of vocabulary, but it's more adjectives. I think than anything else. We got mad adjectives, LBJ.
I got mad at this game. Mad.
Mad adjectives. And so LBJ, we watch Jake force this vial of sand into Olivia's hand. And he basically says to her, I need you to do what I need you to do, which is to admit to killing Basharan. And then after Cyrus is elected president, I'll pardon you. And Olivia is looking at him with complete horror in her face, of course. And she is saying to him, you aren't this person. This isn't who you are. And he said, LBJ, something that had to be said, and we had said it before. He said, if you starve a dog long enough, it will tear you to pieces. Okay? LBJ, he said, you know what? I've had enough. I mean, that was the first thing Jake did. Then Jake did something else. When again, he wants to move into his power. He goes, LBJ, to the person that he believes is the arbiter of power. Okay? And he goes to the arbiter and basically wants to get clearance. He wants to get clearance for this new mantle that he's taken on. And who does he go to, LBJ? None other than the very Papa Pope. LBJ, why don't you recap this scene for us?
So when this scene came up, on a personal note, I have to say to you, our Scandal Recap family, that it was bittersweet, because I was just like, gosh, we haven't seen Papa Pope in about 2.5, almost 3 episodes, right? Like we said last week, we haven't seen Papa Pope. We've been talking about him. You all have mentioned him hiding in the background. We shall see him again. He is the only power. He is the only command. We've been talking the talk. We've been walking the walk, as we always do here in the Scandal Recap. And tonight, Jake goes to the Smithsonian. The dinosaur is complete. All the bones have been assembled, and Papa Pope is standing of his assembly of the piece that he's curated. As the curator of the Smithsonian, as one of the curators of the Smithsonian, to me, of the Museum of Natural History, where they have the dinosaur bones, all that stuff. And I'm seeing it now in the distance. I'm seeing it in the spirit realm. Chaka Khan, touch the screen. And so so I see Jake come in. He's looking in his Jake way, at Papa Pope. He's talking to Papa Pope like, listen, there was something that went down, something that happened. We need to talk. We need to get this together. I need you to understand what's going on because there's a changing of the guard. No, we're not. Mind you, I'm paraphrasing all of this because I took no notes. I have no script. I am riffing based off of how I interpreted this, how I comprehend. We had comprehension questions in elementary school. Let me take you back to that moment. We had 5 questions for homework. Read the piece, answer the 5 questions, submit it to your teacher first thing in the morning.
Let me just say, LBJ, if there is anyone that is, and I'm using now my poetic voice, my poetic cadence. If there is anyone,
come on, Janiyah Sanchez,
that is capable,
come on, Janiyah Neal Hurston,
of calling upon the true essence of Pope and without having the script, it is you, LBJ. It is you who have interpreted his essence so many times. You who has taken on this persona, LBJ. You who has brought his essence into this chat for years. Take it away, LBJ. What did Papa
That was
Pope
good.
say?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
So Jake is like, listen, there's a changing of the guard taking place that's going on, that's going down.
Yeah.
We're in the club, it's going down. We in the trap, it's going down. Trap house, we doing this, Papa, okay? We're doing this, you're in or you're out. Papa Pope is like, not so fast, young Ballard, young Pete, young Vanessa's ex-husband, Vanessa's widow. What happened to the girl I set you up with? Huh? You killed her, huh? What? Right? I already know this because I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you. I know what you do. I know who you are. Why? Because I created you. Created I you. Created I her. Created I them. Created I B62113. I created it all. Why? Because I am power. I am command. I am the ultimate. I am the X-quotient. I am the innumerable. I am the one who cannot be taken down. Why can't I be taken down? Because none of you are as great as I am. I am the one who manifested everything. I am the one who puts the dinosaur bones into place. I am the one who put you in the hole and pulled you out of the hole and made you do the things that you did and to make you stand in front of me and to think that you can take me down. Take me down. You cannot, sir, because I am the one who has been established and I sit upon the throne and none of you have been able and been worthy enough to join me up here upon this throne. People of Wakanda, said you said you cannot come here and you cannot cross your hands like this and throw them down because you, sir, are not worthy. You, sir, who sits in front of me and looks like a colonizer. You, sir, who want to sleep with my daughter and thought that you could take her from me. You, sir, who thought that you can come in and knock over my sculpture of all these bones I've taken the time to curate and manifest and put together. You, sir, who think that you shall come and hear this second to last episode and take my seat from me. I think not. So what shall you do? What shall you say to these things, sir, huh? What will you do? And he's all spitting all over the place, doing all kinds of stuff. Juicy mouth, just like I am. Like Jake's goes like, oh, let me reach into my back pocket. Let me reach into my back belt clip and pull something out the booty crack. Jake pulls into the booty crack and comes back out. He's holding something. He's holding a pistol.
Yeah, he is.
He's holding a pistol. Papa Pope continues monologuing. We haven't heard this man monologue in a minute. And he's like, you, sir, you think that you can sit here and dethrone. You think you're worthy of being called command. There is only but one command. And I am he am I. We shall be we because I am the only one who has the W and the E. I am not. I am the one. You call me they because I am many. I come strong and I come alone.
Yeah.
And my daughter thinks she's the one. She's the only one who could stand here and potentially take my throne because she's bone of my bone and ultimately flesh of my flesh. So what shall you do? Jake is like, look, I will take you down right now with this pistol. He said, you won't do it. Jake stands there and he looks at him. What does he do? Jake stands down.
He didn't do it.
He stands down. He cannot do it. He can't do it. And sorry if I'm cross-eyed looking at you right now. I don't have my glasses on. I took them off to do this whole piece because I don't want to mess my glasses up and knock them off. Don't put my glasses back on because I don't have contacts on. Okay.
LBJ, the fact that you would go cross-eyed to do this monologue for us, LBJ,
giving you all kinds giving you all kinds of astigmatism and everything else. Okay. Yes. D. Ramsey, Papa Pope said, who is you? Who is you?
Yes, LBJ, you hit the nail on the head. You did the text, the subtext, the subtext. LBJ, you captured it all. Where's our applause sound effect? LBJ, that was so good.
We ain't got it because Google changed it. Google, have you not been watching the Scandal recap? We need the effects. Come on, what happened to our relationship?
LBJ, in this conversation with Jake and Papa Pope, we realized something that we knew already, but we weren't sure if anybody else knew, okay? Which is that Papa Pope has literally almost just been sitting around waiting to get his job back. Because he said it, LBJ, in the monologue. He said, you can't take command.
You can't. And we've heard that before.
We've heard it before. And he said, LBJ, that he had failed Jake and Olivia because he hadn't been able to successfully groom them to be command. Because they didn't know how to be power without fanfare, power without external validation, power without thinking of others, power with one sole focus of the Republic. And LBJ, the chat loved it. Charlie McKinney said, yes, what is Scandal without an Eli Papa Pope soliloquy? Okay. Grace is saying, at D. Ramsey, he did it. Papa Pope slayed Jake with real talk truth. Okay. You know,
oh my gosh, I love Kevin Wright. Kevin Wright says Papa Pope was that mother who doesn't care how old you are, how accomplished you are, that he was that mother that reminded you. She cleaned the crap off your butt. Boy, I cleaned the crap. Boy, I changed your diapers.
That's right.
Don't you come in here talking like that.
Is that what Call Delta 55 says to you?
Ooh, I've had that conversation quite a few times. Hey, yes, indeed. Hashtag truth be told. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yep.
LBJ and D. Ramsey summed it up. Said Papa Pope, stay stunning and dropping mics. Because he really does, LBJ. I mean, and frankly, I would love it if we could get one or two more of Papa Pope monologues in next week's episode. I don't know how we're going to have time. LBJ,
no,
the last time we saw Candy, you said that was her goodbye for the show and that we weren't going to see her again.
Yeah.
LBJ, do you think tonight was Eli Papa Pope's goodbye monologue for us? Are we going to see him again?
I don't. I mean, I do. I do think that we are going to see him again. I think that we are going to see Papa Pope in the final episode of Scandal. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I get a little vibe of Caesar, of Julius Caesar with Papa Pope. And I feel we're going to get a little Et tu Brute and then fall Caesar with Papa Pope. I hate to say it, but I think that Papa Pope might fall upon his sword for the Republic and for his baby.
Oh my gosh, LBJ, you done predicted something there. Diane Jones says that she believes Papa Pope will step in. You know, so LBJ, there are other people who feel like he's going to do
he's there.
Some kind of an intervention.
Yeah. Papa Pope is in the last episode. Mark my words. Joe Morton showed up for taping. He taped, I don't know how many scenes for that last episode, but he's in the last episode. Let me also have an aside right here. Mm-hmm. I think that we have to do justice to the fact that members of the cast of Scandal tweeted, it was Kerry Washington, Darby Stanchfield, and Katie Lowe's. They tweeted that they were actually in Washington, District of Columbia to film a few scenes from Scandal and they posted a picture on Twitter and Instagram. I was like, oh, great. We're going to see some scenes in Scandal. Now, mind you, Cornelia Smith Jr., who plays Marcus Walker, was also in D.C. If you ask me, they had in their contract say nothing to no one about your attendance, about your flight, about your presence in D.C. Got to do this in and out. They had some scenes that they shot in D.C. and they were out. I say this to say, did you see Marcus Walker walking in front of the National Museum of African American History and Culture? Did you see people walking through the National Mall in these conversations with gladiators? Huck was there, Quinn, Gabby Abby Red was there. Did you notice that? They were in D.C. Listen, I live here. Like, they didn't call me. I feel a little offended. Anyway, but they were in one of my favorite spots in D.C.
And that was a lot of nerve. I just want to go ahead and
say I said it. Janiyah said it. I didn't say it. Janiyah said I didn't say it.
That was a lot of nerve to be right there in D.C., 2 shakes from you, LBJ, and to not pick up the phone.
Especially when I known you since before Scandal, and I got your cell phone number in my phone because we go back like bus tickets and bus fares in high school in the city of Detroit and everything else. But whatever. I understand you have contracts, but what? Let me say, go ahead.
I will also say, LBJ, that I loved the use of the National Museum of African American History and Culture throughout this episode. Okay.
Listen.
So in addition to Marcus walking by it and having chit chat with a Capitol Healer who actually referenced it, Olivia, when she's trying to decide what to do, she's overwhelmed, blah, blah, blah. LBJ, she goes and cries it out in the fountain. They're in the museum.
No. You gotta call it what it is. Wait.
It is called the it is a court. I know it's like the
yes, you're almost there. Yes,
contemplation.
No, okay, you're close. It's okay. You're 99% there. So it's called the Contemplative Court. That's what it's called. It is my favorite space in that museum. So if you've never been to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, the Contemplative Court is actually located. So there are about 6 galleries in the entire museum. There are all these different sub-levels underground. You have your main level. You have levels above ground, above the main level. And on the like the multi-purpose level, where like the Oprah Winfrey Theater is the largest theater inside the museum, where the food court, where you get foods from the different segments of the country, of our people's culture. You have this room that's kind of off behind the wall, but before you go down into like the bowels of our history.
Beautiful.
And it's a contemplative court. It has all these amazing quotes from it has 4 or 5 amazing quotes inside of the court, inside of the room.
Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King,
all this stuff. And the room is moist. It's humid.
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke is in there. And you feel there's such a presence in this room that you feel that something was summoned as they sealed this room to create an atmosphere for there. And as you sit there, there's an oculus above you that actually provides natural light from outdoors to provide the light that cascades down to the center of the court. And you feel a mist that comes upon your face as you sit around any angle of the oculus in the contemplative court. And you are there essentially to contemplate what you see from below as you come up to this moment before you go up to the top. Now, I've sat there, and I sat there literally for almost 2 hours because I was taken by that space. I felt a heaviness. As I felt a heaviness, I felt the burden. And then as I continued to contemplate, the burden essentially was lifted, and I was able to release myself from that space. I understand the ancestral and the spiritual moment that Olivia Pope had in that space in tonight's episode. And I have to do it justice in this conversation so that if you've never been, you will understand. If you're watching this in the future about Scandal, if you're watching it on Netflix, on Hulu, or any other streaming service that we don't even know about for the future, you will know. And I say this to, I'm and this is all sincerity. Like, I say this so that you will go and do yourself the opportunity to experience the contemplative court inside that museum. Because that is where Olivia had her changing point, her turning point in tonight's episode. She felt the responsibility of the past and the future to live in the present and do right. And that's what that space does. And let me add to you, and I submit to you, there is a gallery that has Shonda Rhimes' name on it in that museum. So does she not have a right to put that in the show? Absolutely. So Shonda, bravo and kudos to you
Shonda.
for bringing
And
something that you've invested in for the future, for the present and the future, and paying homage to the past, to the American people and to the international community. I love that. Thank you for using your platform, Shonda.
Thank you, Shonda. My gosh, LBJ, it was so meaningful. And you called out so much of the symbolism related to that specific part of the museum. And actually, I'm just even getting a little emotional remembering being in that court. I've been to the museum 3 times now. And I'm going to tell you that particular part of the museum, when you go, I'm not going to say if you go, when you go, if you are running out of time and you can't get to everything in that visit, make your way to the Contemplative Court. Where it's situated in the museum, it is between the part of Black American history that is slavery, essentially, and then you experience the Contemplative Court, and then after that it is emancipation and beyond, and it brings you to today in the upper floors of the museum, and it's amazing. But I just wanted to call out that centering of it from a narrative perspective, because Olivia was not just there to think generally, she was at a crossroads. She had an opportunity to go one way and go to the darkness, and she had another opportunity to go to the light. And that is what you're feeling when you're in that space in the museum. You feel like you're coming out of something and heading somewhere. And that's where Olivia was. So for Shonda to use that particular museum, and for her to use that particular part of the museum, I just feel like this is another way that she was saying goodbye to us, LBJ, because that kind of depth of symbolism, you don't get that always in a Thursday night drama. She just takes it she gives us so much, LBJ, in every minute of the show. So LBJ, another thing that happens in the episode, because we basically covered all the main points.
Absolutely.
Another thing that happens in the episode is just related to after Olivia has decided that the only way forward, and I'm not going to say the only way out of this mess, because that's not what it is, but that the only way forward for the Republic was for her to tell the truth about B613, for her to tell the truth about her own participation in it. None of it was going to be able to play out in a court of law or even fully in the public eye without evidence. And so QPA, they were on the case. And they couldn't find not a lick, not a shard, not a tablespoon, not a drip drop, LBJ, of anything. Part of it is that they were destroying the evidence along the way. They are B613. And they had done such a great job, LBJ, there was no trace of all of their deceits. The only thing they had was their own testimony. And so by the end of the episode, not only is truth going to be their companion through the flames, LBJ, they themselves are going to be the evidence that brings everything to light.
In the deposition, not the flames, but the deposition.
In the deposition, LBJ, where and LBJ, let me just say, it is so, I just love, because you have to remember, LBJ, every other time for 7 seasons, when they needed evidence, they could find something. Okay? They couldn't find a lick of nothing, LBJ. And they decided to join Olivia in this pursuit of the truth. And what they're saying is, this is an opportunity to expose the rot. And somebody used that word, I think it was Gabby Abby Red, to expose the rot in American politics. Mm-hmm. And to really, and Olivia said it, to move from patriotism to leadership, to true leadership. So LBJ, I think that's it. That's the last main piece of the episode that we hadn't hit. There was a moment, we talked about it at the top, where Fitz raised that question at the very top of the episode, how will it all end? toward the end of the episode, he says, well, I guess we do know how to end. And it ends with us doing what's right. And who's the us, LBJ? Who's going to come and tell the truth? It's Mellie, it's Fitz, it's Huck, it's Gabby Abby Red, it's Quinn, Charlie, who's already bound and shackled somewhere, doesn't get a chance to sign on per se. And it's Marcus, LBJ, and they're all committed to just telling the truth. So LBJ, that's it. That's it. So at the end, we're right now back to our narrator, LBJ, that you were talking about.
Yes.
Sally Langston. And she basically says, hey, B613 exists. We're going to suss it out. I have witnesses. And all we see is Cyrus and Jake staring at each other in complete horror as Sally Langston puts all their business on the street. Bam! Shonda Rhimes drops the mic for the night. It's finished. So good. So good, LBJ.
Let me tell you, that's a bit anticlimactic for me. I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of ending. I need a little more drama. I need a little bit of more. I need more boom, more bang. So I will say that next week I am going to be prepared for anything. I feel like they should probably
prediction time, chat. Predictions. We need predictions.
Sound effects, bells and whistles. We don't even have lower thirds anymore. They're shutting this whole thing down.
We really don't. Yeah.
Maybe they're just holding on to hangouts on air for us to wrap up next week, and then they're going to shut the whole thing down.
That's actually a really valid.
If that's the case, we need to have a conversation with the powers that be, because we need to talk about the influence that we have, not just as the two of us in this conversation, but all of you who have been conversing with us live, as well as you are watching and commenting in the comments right up under the video. Yes. Hello. Yay. After we go off live. All right. So listen, I think that we are going to see at least 2 deaths next week.
Woo!
2. I think there will be 2. I've already mentioned
you just
one.
killed me. You just killed me with that prediction.
Hashtag dead. Hashtag dead to the world.
Got. Yeah.
Hashtag Janaya got. I think that, so someone mentioned they thought that Jake might shoot himself with a gunshot next week. Maybe Jake will. I feel like Jake is too good to kill himself. I think that somebody else might take Jake out, and it might be Olivia. Or it might be, I think Olivia's owed some justice. She's owed some blood. Olivia's got to make a tough decision. Or will it be Fitz for the sake of his boo? I feel like Papa Pope is going to make the ultimate sacrifice. I also feel that Marcus is now in on the end. I love the fact that Marcus has now been exposed to everything. Yeah. All bets are off with him. Remember, I said he's been protected for so long, and tonight we know that he knows it all. Yep. He's in on everything.
And called him out, LBJ.
And that's how we found out.
Like, oh my gosh, I just can't believe how the walls are tumbling down. I'm paraphrasing. And Marcus is like, really, boo? You acting like you don't know? He basically said, all of you are hashtag the worst. And now you're mad when someone is being the worst. And he's like, he's called them sharks, LBJ. He says, you're all sharks.
Yes.
And now you're mad when one of your fellow sharks has bitten you. LBJ, he called him right out. Called him out real good.
Real good. I think that we are going to see an opportunity create itself for folks to be free. I think ultimately people are going to be free to live in their truth, right? Truth is the central theme that we're dealing with this in this episode and maybe next week's episode. And I think that people will finally be free to live their truth without the lives of some cast members or some characters in the story. I also think that we are owed some kind of wrap up or some kind of lead to the future in the story so that we can say, oh, so-and-so potentially did this in the rest of their life, or they ended. I think that they're going to give us enough respect as viewers and fans of the show to say, this is how some will end, and you can imagine the future for the rest. And I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. What I'm not ready for is to say goodbye to all of this. And I'll stop right there.
LBJ, that was so good. LBJ, and your predictions have such a high rate of coming true. I mean, you just dropped a lot on us, LBJ. Here are some of the predictions from the chat. We have, first of all, LBJ, people are definitely confirming what you think, that Papa Pope is coming back. Tall Delta 55, Mama Brown herself, or Mama Swan, says Papa's gonna
Mama Swan Brown.
Mama Swan Brown. Papa's gonna protect his baby. They're not taking her down. Okay. And we also see Akosua O saying, I think Jake is gonna kill himself. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and people are agreeing with some of this, LBJ. And we also are expecting more from Sally. D. Ramsey said, Sally, ... Stay tuned.
Oh yeah, she's a storyteller.
You know?
She is the, as some people call her in the Black church, she's the program mover. And in the movie Black church, we call her the MC or the toast mistress. But some people call her she's the program mover. She keeps the program moving. Oh yes.
Yeah. Charlene McKinney thinks that Liv will end up alone. Oh my goodness.
Charlene McKinney, I wasn't going to say it, but I've been saying it for the last 4 episodes of this conversation.
And then we have Normina's Harmony saying really what we're all thinking. I want there to be a happy ending, but I don't think they exist in Shondaland.
No, they don't.
Lord, is that true? Oh my gosh.
Beyonce said, listen.
And Kevin Wright agrees that Jake could possibly kill himself, you know. And Mrs. Creole Davis is not making a prediction more than a wish. She wants to hit Jake with a toolbox. And I think that's a wonderful idea.
And I'm losing it off of Lacey Rideout, because Lacey Rideout says, I rebuke that single spirit.
Oh my gosh. LBJ, Idon Matrix has thrown out. I'm going to go ahead and say this is my favorite prediction, LBJ. I think there will be a time jump montage.
Ooh,
I hope they do that. I hope they do that. Oh my gosh. Dan Blakemore saying if Huck dies, there needs to be a funeral and a burial. And I agree. I agree with that. I mean, we can't
Huck is not going to die.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to tell you what my prediction is.
Oh yes. Come on, close us out.
Okay, LBJ. So here is what I am predicting. And I have to just say, it's truly, truly what I feel will happen. I'm not just saying this to be provocative. I really think that everything is going to go right back to the way it was season 1, episode 1. I think at the end of the episode, Papa Pope is going to be command. I think that, you know, some president will be there as a puppet. And LBJ, I think that all of their efforts to bring this down will fail, because corruption is so much at the heart of America. And I think that is what Shonda is going to use her platform to say as this show closes out. I think she's going to use her platform to say, listen, this whole system was built on corruption, and there is no redemption for it. It has to be torn apart. And that's what I think, LBJ. I think we're going to be right back where we started.
Really? So here's the thing. When you said Shonda is saying to America, like, you know, there's corruption and you got to expose it. Tonight's episode led me on the wise of the ending of School Days, when Dean Big Brother Almighty and Jane Toussaint and her court all gathered on the yard one hazy morning, one hot, humid morning. Imagine our freshman year at Howard and how hot and humid it was. And if we all stood on the yard and we heard Dap or Lawrence Fishburne, if you will, stand on the yard and ring a bell and yell, "Wake up!
Mm-hmm.
Wake up!
Mm.
Wake up!" And
Mm-hmm.
hear the clarion call coming from Shondaland for the United States of America and all of its citizens, whether you be Wakandan or not. You owe it to the future to wake up. And I think that that's what the crux, the very core of the episode will really be. It's the pulse of what we're going to experience.
Yeah.
We saw some tonight, and I think it's going to be really driven harder next week. So I'm done. We've gone over an hour here. We're trying.
We sure did. It's so hard to. It's so hard to say goodbye, LBJ. Oh my gosh, tonight, because it's just somebody in the chat said it's like a graduation. You know.
Oh, and then you hear, how do I?
It was Michelle.
Say goodbye.
Michelle said it's like a graduation
to what we had. And I'll stop because that song makes me cry. Yeah, I can't. I say that song as a funeral, as an emerging adolescent. Can you imagine the scars that were placed upon my life? Like, seriously, that is terrible.
Well, LBJ,
my name was not Wanye or anybody else, and I'm singing this song at a funeral. It's terrible.
So bad.
Anyway,
I thank you, everyone who tuned in tonight for our chat.
Yes,
thank you so very much. I don't know what we're gonna do next week, LBJ. We have to do something. I don't even know.
Listen, I think that we should do so. We know that there's an event coming up in New York with Josie Ziegler and Gladiators Unite meetups.net.com.org. Whatever. And you should look that up. Look up Gladiators Unite. But Mrs. Creole Davis lives in the DMV like me, and she says, LBJ, let's go get burgers and wine. Listen, maybe we'll have an informal meetup here in the DC area.
So great.
And we can make our own Getty's burgers. We can have Duboulet, and we can just like unwind and be family with Scandal. Okay.
Yes. And LBJ, it is the last Gladiators United meetup. And that's, you Google that, Gladiators United meetup. It's May 25th through 28th. And I'm going to tell you guys, the last time I went to the Gladiator meetup put on by this corporation, by Josie Carter Ziegler, she had Joe Morton there.
And Janiyah was rubbing elbows with him on the panel like, hey, Papa Pope, how you doing, Papa Pope?
And I have the receipts.
Oh, yes. Oh, let the record show. The pictures are there.
Being on a panel with Joe Morton at this meetup. So let me tell you guys, this is not something to take lightly. She is connected, and there will be something at this. And I have the picture right here. Oh my gosh, I look a spit mess, but that's okay.
But show it.
I have to show it. Okay.
And while Janiyah is doing that, I think that we should totally like invite Josie to come on and promote it at some point.
Oh yes,
and invite folks and talk about it. We'll try to do some stuff like, oh, Charlene McKinnon needs a nurse because she's fainting. She can't do it. Oh, she can't do it.
Oh my gosh, LBJ, I can't even find it.
It's okay.
I'll find it for next week. I'll find it
for us. Yes.
But anyway, the point is, guys, we'll have the website for you next week. But let's all go to the Gladiators Unite final meetup, Memorial Day weekend, 25th to the 28th. Oh my gosh! And I would drive my tail right down to DC for this wine event you talking about, LBJ. Where we can have some Duboulet and chit chat.
And Duboulet might be some Kool-Aid with a little bit of special in it.
and Dan Blakemore has thrown out an idea a couple of times of having one more scandal recap.
I know.
He says, I'm still calling for at least one more additional episode of the recap to delve into this show's legacy.
So if we do that, we have to have volunteers to be in the conversation. We need at least 3 people to say, I will be a part. You will be on camera. You will do a rehearsal with us so that we can just test the technology, and we'll do this.
Now, again, we've never done a rehearsal before, but we should for the last episode.
We have to do this if this
is time.
Because
it's time to rehearse.
This for the people who will stream this in the future. That's what we're doing, okay?
Yes. Yes. Right. Oh my God.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in to see.
That's it. We're over time.
Yes. Scandal recap. I'm Larry Brown. That's Janiyah and Wright.
Thank you so much for joining us.
We will see you next week for next week's episode called Over a Cliff, which they mentioned several times tonight. It's all foreshadowing. Look it up. Next week is called Over a Cliff. They mentioned it like 8 times tonight. I'm gonna go watch and hear them ask and call for LBJ. I love y'all. Good night. Bye.
Good night.